Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fantastic Wednesday intermediate training. It is now 1 o'clock, so I will go ahead and get started and kick things off. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Roxy Indebumadu, and I am one of the customer success managers who will be leading this training today, along with my co presenters, John and Ali. John, Ali, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Frankel. I'm a product advisor from the Microsoft Store in Pentagon City who will assist Roxy and Ali with moderating the questions and answers panel of this session. So if you guys have any questions throughout this session, by all means, drop them into the Q&A.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Ali Ascari. I'm a customer success manager like Roxy in the Federal Account Group. Glad you guys can join us.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's always good to have support and backup here. Well, today I just want to make sure that I highlight a couple of things. Today is an intermediate session, meaning that we are only going to focus on the advanced features and functionalities to make you successful with MS Teams. So we're not going to cover much of the basics. However, if you do have a question about the basics, feel free to drop it in the Q&A box, and we will answer it either live or verbally. Well, that's both the same thing, but we'll answer it live or the chat box. So just wanted to make sure I highlight that out. Oh, we're going backwards. So a couple of topics that we may or may not cover today, depending on where we get and what is most pressing and top of mind for you, are how to mention a team and how to mention a channel and what the best practices are around it, what the differences are. How to reply directly to a message as opposed to creating an entirely new thread. Something that we see that's pretty common across federal government when you're collaborating with someone or you're chatting within a Teams group, people starting an entirely new thread opposed to replying to the message. So we'll go over that a little bit today too. How to search filter to make things easier for you. Teams has a lot of shortcuts built into it. So we just want to make sure that we're showcasing the best features and the best abilities for you to be able to do your work in a fast, quick, and seamless way. We'll go over codes. Codes are more important when you're talking about private teams versus public teams. So when you're creating a private team, we'll talk about why a code might be useful or why that might be helpful to expedite things for you. A popular one is announcements. We'll talk more about what does it look like to create an announcement and how can you amplify your voice through creating an announcement versus a regular Teams group post. So that's something we'll talk more about. The command feature, which is personally my favorite, which leads you to so many different shortcuts and shows you so many different things that you can do within Teams, which is absolutely cool. So we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about the Control Plus keyboard shortcuts. I don't use those much, but there are a lot who do. We will dive deeper into the calendar mirroring functionality. So a lot of conversation around Exchange Online and Teams and how does that relate with one another. So we'll talk about that. We will certainly touch on file storage and where is your file stored when you're having a Teams chat versus a Teams site chat. So we'll talk about the storage differences there. Surfacing SharePoint online web apps, we'll talk about that a bit. Channel emojis, my personal favorite again, and then we'll have time for more Q&A at the end. So without further ado, oh, sorry, I did not mean to share my screen, but I will plop this over. Without further ado, we will go in to the demo. Ali, did you want to kick us off or did you want me to?
Why don't you go ahead and I'll supplement.
Alrighty, sounds good. 1 second, just get things settled here. Okay, so we will start in the chat because this is my personal favorite. Funny, you see our colleague is doing a demo and we're a demo tenant, so that's nice. Then when you're doing demos live across different platforms, that's really showcasing the power of Teams. How fun. Alrighty, so when you are within your Teams chat, so I'm going to chat with Johanna, who is AKA Ali for today, and we're going to share a quick document with Johanna, AKA Ali. I want to make sure that we talk about the fact that these documents that you're sharing in let's say, yep, so we're going to share a Teams demo file. I've already shared this, but we're going to replace it. So this document, right, we're sharing it within a chat. Oh, thanks for that. I love it too. So this document that we're sharing it within a chat, right? That's the key difference here. We're sharing it within a chat. Is going to be stored in your OneDrive. So really quickly, we're going to tell Johanna, aka Ali, to check this out. So this document is going to be stored in OneDrive for Business. Now, as Johanna, aka Ali, goes in there and makes any changes to the document, the changes made with this document will be shared in my OneDrive, me as an aka Roxy, because I am the person who shared this file. And when you share when you share files within chat, they are stored in OneDrive. However, if I were to go to a team site here, and we're going to go to COVID task force, and we're just going to we're going to share one in policies for school age parents. And we're going to share that Teams demo doc. Oh no, we're not going to open it. We want to share it. We're going to share that Teams demo doc that I just shared with Johanna in chat here to the team site. Now, when I share this document to the team site, this individual document, within the team site will be stored in SharePoint Online. So I want to make sure that we call that out, check this out, as the difference here, because a lot of people tend to get confused when you're collaborating and you're sharing documents in different places within Teams, which is chats versus team site, where they're actually stored. Now with this document now, I can go into, let's go to files, right? So now we're going to go to files. We're going to open this bad boy up in SharePoint. Since we talked about it being stored in SharePoint, right? We talked about that. So now we're going to go down and look at the version history. So now anytime a change is made to this document within the team site, you'll be able to pull up the version history and all of these more complex, fun things that will make you more successful with this document on SharePoint because you shared it within the team site. Now, if you were to share this in a chat, keep in mind that's going to be stored in OneDrive for Business. That's going to be stored in my OneDrive for Business, especially because I am the person who shared it. Johanna, Ali, anything to add?
Not so
Sure.
far.
Yeah. I think you're doing great. I'm in the document right now, so if you ever want to go into it, we can do co-op.
Are you in the chat one?
Yes, the chat one.
Oh, okay, let's open this. Let's open this up. Yep. We're gonna edit it in Teams. And now this is really good because now it gets to the point where Johanna, aka Ali, and I can work on this document together. And I think a lot of people ask this question, so I'm gonna, how do I spell Johanna? Yep. A lot of people ask this question about what does collaboration look like within Teams? What is co-authoring? Yes, we can see this. What does co-authoring look like in Teams? Well, now you know, because as you can see, Ollie's in here at the same time. You can see his edits. They are real time with, of course, a couple seconds lag. You can see them in real time. And because Ollie is right here, I am not going to be able to place edits right there because that is where Ollie's working. However, if I go down, that I can add my edits. Now, while you're co-authoring or collaborating with someone within a document, it's always gonna have the color following their cursor. So now I see the purple cursor is moving, so I know that's where Ali is in the document. And I'm pretty sure on his side, my cursor is gonna show up as something else. So that's what it looks like for real-time conversation. Now, for real-time collaboration. Now, if we want to start a conversation, let's say we were editing some things in this document. Right, and we're just gonna, sorry, I'm actually gonna start a new one. Yep, so we're just gonna work on this. Check this title Not, oh, yep, there you go. That's what it looks like to have collaboration ongoing in real time when you can't jump on a phone call. When, Ali's at his workstation wherever he lives. We're gonna envision Miami, Florida today, and I'm in DC, where it's a little windy here. So this is how you can a great example of how you can collaborate through chat and comments on this document without having to be on the phone or having to be within the same space at the exact same time or email things back and forth. So it's a great example. Thank you for that, Ali. So now I'm going to go ahead and head out of this document. I'm just going to press close. And now I'm going to go to TeamSite. So let's go ahead and operate within the COVID-19 task force. So in the COVID-19 task force, I'm going to add a new thread, right? Okay, so I'm going to add a new thread. Now, earlier when I kicked off the demo, I talked about people responding exactly to a message that has been posted in Teams versus people responding and thinking that they're responding and creating an entirely new conversational thread. There are a couple of things that make this important. One, as you see, I started a new conversational thread in the COVID-19 task force group that talks about welcome back, making sure that everyone checks out the procedures of coming back to work, right? Now, because I posted this message, this conversation thread, it's depending on how the user has their notification set up, it's going to notify the user that I set this new thread or that this thread is out there. And as people start to respond, so if Ali goes ahead and responds to that, it'll notify me that Ali responded to that thread based off of the way that my notifications are set up. However, if Ali responds and starts an entirely new thread, so Ali, can you respond in a new conversation? If Ali responds in an entirely new conversation, it's not going to notify everybody who has commented on that post that Ali responded or what his response is. So that's why we really want to dive deep as to the way that you respond as a best practice, because it's really important to make sure that you're responding in the best possible way. Usually when you are posting in Teams, we recommend that you @mention the entire team to ensure that they're getting the notification of your message. All right, so I just @mentioned the COVID task force team. So now you can see in everybody's activity center, there's going to be a number 1 because I @mentioned the group. So it's going to let them know that, hey, somebody is @mentioning the group, or somebody is, there's activity that's moving in that group that calls for your immediate attention, and they'll be able to get that notification. So here you see Ali just responded and I got the notification. Let's meet on this, only because he @mentioned me. Now he started an entirely new thread, right? And that's not what we want to do, right? Because now it distorts the conversation and the way that you collaborate using Teams. Oopsie, sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. So that's a really good one. Now, another best practice that I want to call out is announcements, because I don't necessarily know that a lot of people use this feature, but it's actually a really, really good feature to use. So I'm going to add an announcement. So basically how you do that is when you go into the Teams channel, when you go into the Teams channel, yep, you want to go to the bottom, click format. There's a place where you're going to click new conversation, and then you're going to change that to announcement. Now, announcements are fun because you can change the aesthetics of how they look depending on how you want to amplify your message. So So I'm going to post an announcement, and we talked about best practice is at mentioning the team. Opening. Please check your list of states. And now I'm going to mark this message as important. And now we are going to click send. And announcements are a great way to make sure that you're amplifying the message that you're trying to send to those within your organization. So that's kind of the highlight there, is that when you're creating normal chat threads, you know, it's taken more as a conversational style, but when you're posting an announcement, it's taken more as, hey, this is a broader communication that everyone needs to see. Now, the fun part about announcements are you can post announcement across multiple different channels that you're a part of. So here, I'm going to go select channels, and these are all of the team sites that I am a part of. So I'm going to post that in multiple channels across COVID, work from home, task force. We're not going to go into single family housing. We're going to post them in the general for finance. We'll post them into philanthropy so that our philanthropic team knows, and I'm going to click update. Now at the bottom, I'm going to press OK. And now you'll see that this is a part of multiple different channels. So see, as I click on channels, it's all there.
So the one thing, if I could add, Roxy,
of course,
when we, you know, for this type of messaging, the use case that we're trying to highlight here is, let's say that, you know, one of your leaders wants to make sure that you're aware of something. You know, previously someone would send an email message, you know, that gets put in with all the rest of your email messages, and you know, it becomes difficult to prioritize those. In this case, what Roxy did, she sent an urgent announcement, so it gets highlighted in the sense that the notifications in Teams has more of a priority. And in addition, you know, I liked her message and I responded that I acknowledged, and that way, you know, as a leader, Roxy knows that this message was not only viewed but accepted, and she has a clearer picture on you know, me receiving the fact that I've actually received this message and can act upon it if need be.
That's a really great point, Ollie. And one thing I'll add, as you saw that I posted this across multiple channels, you can see, because I posted this message as important, there's a little red exclamation point here next to the team site that's letting people know, hey, there's something that's urgent there. So when they click on it, they'll see within the different channels, there's some urgent message, and it's also bolded. So they'll know that something new is there, but then also something urgent is there. So that's a really good way of amplifying messages across, just across the board. So I'm gonna talk about private team sites versus public team sites. And then I want to talk more about apps. All right, so at the bottom, you see it says join or create a team, right? So typically here, what you'll have listed are the teams within your organization, which you are not a part of. So here are all the other teams that are in my organization, which I am not a part of, that are all public. So when these team sites are listed as public, what that means is I can go easily join them. So as you can see, there's a CDOT team. If I click join team, it allows me to join the team. So now you saw it populated at my bottom left-hand corner. Now we're gonna hide this team because I don't need to use this team. Now, because some of these teams are created privately, this is the good part. So hypothetically speaking, let's say we worked in single family housing, hypothetically speaking, right? Because single family housing is a private team, it will not allow anybody who goes here to see what team sites are within the organization to seamlessly join in that way. What people will have to do is either request to join or punch in a code that's given to them. So if we go to manage teams, usually what will happen is under pending requests, if there are any requests, that's where they'll be able to join. So let me go ahead and send this private link to Johanna so you can see that in real time so that Johanna can join. So now we are going to go back to Manage Teams. And while Johanna is requesting, the other advanced thing that you can do is generate a team code. Now, if you generate a team code, it means that people will not be able to request to join the private team. And basically, they'll just have to put in the code that's generated because you gave it to them. So now we'll actually generate the team code. And wait, let me make sure Johanna's not a part of this. Oh, actually, Johanna's already a part of it. Sorry, Johanna, I'm going to go ahead and kick you out. Okay, perfect.
Is this something I said, Roxy?
Pardon?
Was it something I said?
So I just sent you the password to be able to join, Johanna. So if you can just join that conversation and enter the code. And we'll be able to see Johanna pop up here soon because Johanna has the code and was able to join. Oh, well, maybe she requested before I sent her the code or before I didn't register in time. However, but yeah, if you have a private team, the gist of it is you are allowed to manage requests. So basically what happens is people will not be privy to the information within that team unless they request to join, or if you initiate a code the way that we just showed you how, they put in a code. In this case, Johanna requested before I generated the code, so it didn't register. So basically, if I wanted to allow Johanna to enter this private team, I would just click accept or deny. In this case, I'll click accept, which will now make Johanna a member of the team again. So that's another fun way to be able to manage teams that are private versus public. Public, you don't necessarily need to do much beyond making sure that you have 2 owners. That's a best practice that we recommend across the board, because you just never know if somebody leaves the organization or somebody goes on leave. You want to make sure that there's a backup there to be able to manage that team or do anything that you need to within that team. So here, Joanna's letting us know that she's in, and that thank you. So thank you for letting me know, Joanna, that you're in. The interesting part is now that Joanna's part of the team, we have, and which was just a recent addition, we have private channels. And the fun part about private channels that I want to talk about really briefly before I go into the app, the expedited things with app, are when you initiate private channels under a team site. One, the first way to know that it's a private channel when you initiate it is that you'll see the lock next to it. That's number one. Number two, it's important to note that these channels will not appear for anybody within that team site that you did not add directly to this channel. So if I go to manage channel, right, I can see there are only 3 members out of this team site that are a part of this channel. So 3 out of the 10 people that you saw earlier that are a part of the team will be privy to this channel. So for Johanna, this channel will not even come up and she will not even know that it exists. Johanna, do you want to expand on anything, or John, do you want me to pause to answer any questions that have come up so far?
Nothing for me. I just wanted to make sure that people are comfortable about what we're talking about here, in the sense that if you're collaborating on a singular concept, right, that's where you'd create a team. And if you are collaborating on a subtopic, that's where you create a channel specifically for that. And what you want to do, some of this back and forth that we're having between Roxy and I, really what we want to do is to pull it out from email and then build it into this collaborative space. So that way, if someone wants to know what the status is on that thing that we're working, whether it be a COVID response or something else, you know, this is a singular place that you can write messages, pull in artifacts and files and other things that we'll show you later on a singular place. So that way you don't have to spend time looking for it.
Thanks for that, Johanna. John, are there any questions so far that you want us to pause and just kind of cover before we move forward? John, you there?
I think John's good.
Okay, good.
I'm managing the Q&A as well, so I think we're
okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So John is good. So awesome. So there's one thing that I want to cover too, because to Ali's point, oh no, don't show my camera. To Ali's point, when we talk about collaborating and cross collaboration, it's really, really, really important. And it's good for you to know the different ways that you're able to do that, right? So I'm gonna initiate a meeting now for everybody that's in this channel. So we're gonna mute, and hopefully now I'm gonna invite a couple of people to join. I'm gonna pull in Johanna because we need to meet really quickly, like right now. And I'm also gonna ask our external person to join. So now Johanna's in the meeting. Let's see if we can get it. Get the last person in there. Now we see Johanna's in the meeting, which is a good thing. And Johanna is letting us know now that we initiated this really quick sync that we can take notes here. Because hypothetically speaking, let's say that you're working on something really quickly, you have a deadline, you need to get something in, you need to get something done like immediately. The Meet Now feature within the Teams channel is a really, really great way for you to make sure that you do that rather quickly, and it's easy to do. So now I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna explore more. I'm just gonna showcase one great thing really quickly that is really invaluable when you talk about like external collaboration, right? So let's say connecting on niche, pardon my, when you get older and you're typing so fast. Okay, we're gonna invite Johanna to this, and then we're gonna invite our famous external guest here. All right, so this is gonna start at 1:30. Please join, please. So normally we get a lot of questions about, or a lot of questions about mobility and what that looks like and how that works and things of that sort. So I want to touch on that really briefly because it's really, really important. So if you can see here, there's a Teams meeting that's been scheduled between Johanna, myself, and a couple others. All right. So what I am going to do is we are going to join that Teams meeting. Once technology moves at the speed of our request. Or actually, Johanna, can you join the one again from the channel? I want to do that one. Yeah, we're going to rejoin this Teams meeting. I just want to showcase the mobility features here. And make sure that we touch on them. So Johanna's going to join here shortly. And now what I just showcased here, sorry, that got a little bit confusing. So I was trying to think of the best way to do it. You can do it both ways, but which one's easiest and the quickest for the sake of the demo? What I'm trying to showcase is basically your cross collaboration working with external people who do not work for your agency. So whether that's a state and local government, whether that is a contractor or another commercial entity, or whether that is, just a general person from the public that you need to externally collaborate that are not in your environment. This is technically how you would do it. So by inviting them to a team site, or inviting them to a Teams meeting are great examples of ways that you would be able to collaborate with multiple people who may or may not work for your agency. So as you can see here, Johanna and I are both with the same organization. However, we have this external guest that's from a state and local government that's joined our Teams call because we are in the team site together. And my organization has allowed external collaboration. Now, what I want to showcase here really quickly is just a quick mobility feature, because a lot of people talk about, hey, how does Teams work for me on the go? If I'm on the go, or I'm working from my car, or I'm in a first line position with a government agency, what does that look like for me? So here I want to highlight. So as you can see, the city of Bowie, hypothetically speaking, in the state of Maryland, that is an employee that works for that entity who is joined in our team site that we cross collaborate with on COVID CARES Act initiatives, right? So they're joined our Teams meeting and they're presenting from their phone, which is a great example of mobility. Now, a good thing is a lot of questions people ask is, okay, so when you do collaborate externally or you add people who are not in your environment, what does that look like for them? Now, I want to show you that. If you look at the screen right now, what you're seeing is the team site, the single family housing team site that this external entity is a part of, but this is not hosted in their environment. So the only things that they are privy to are the things that they have been made privy to by the organization who has invited them. So here you can see this external entity is collaborating with Roxy, who works for Microsoft or works for any other federal agency, right? And has notified here to the external partner, hey, can you please send Bowie's updates? You can see there it was an announcement. It was posted as important. You can see that. You can see that there was another announcement posted in this Teams channel that says check monthly updates. We have new resources. There was a tab added for a stream link, which I'll show you that in a second when we go deeper into tabs. And you see that this external entity replied to the group saying, hey, thank you so much for adding me. You can see that there was another thank you given in. This external entity replied and said, thank you so much. And you can see earlier, right before we jumped on this call, we initiated a quick sync, a meeting within the channel. Now, because this external entity is a part of that channel and that team site, they just clicked join and they were able to join the meeting. So now you can see they're in the meeting. So now I'm going to respond quickly, now that we're in meeting chats, to Johanna, who's a part of this external entity, and say, job well done, right? And this is a great example of mobility and just core cross collaboration. So this is, a great example of that cross collaboration, that mobility of working from your phone or working on the go that Teams allows you to do in an intermediate use case. So I just want to show you really quickly. So remember, this is an external entity that we have added to our team site that does not work in the same environment. As you can see, this is all they are privy to. They are only privy to one thing from the other environment, which they have been invited to, and that is the team site that they were invited to, as well as the channels that they belong to. As you can see, they belong to one private channel. But if I go back here, just so I can show you in real time, if I go back here to single family housing, you can see there are multiple channels, right? So that's a great example of how private channels work. And you can see they're only privy to this one channel, which is CARES Act municipal housing, because they're a municipality. If I go into that, now I can see that they're privy to all of the contents of this channel and how the true collaboration is really working. So you can see the initiating agency said, hey, please see the files. The budget was posted, and the agency said, hey, please see your allocation. If I click here, we're opening the budget, and now I can see just in real time on my mobile, the allocations for the budget and the project, and I can add my updates as the external entity right there. Also want to highlight too, as you can see, it shows that I'm a guest, right? It shows that I'm in a call. It shows that, yes, I do have a City of Bowie environment, which is completely separate from this environment, but I also am added as a guest user to another environment. So anytime that I am joining or collaborating with this organization who has added me to their environment, I'm going to switch to their environment and collaborate on the things that they have made me privy to. And anytime I'm working with my organization, I'm going to make sure that I switch to my organization. I won't show you that right now because if I do, it'll knock me off the call from this external environment. So that's a great way to showcase chat. And as you can see here in the chat, there have been some different connections that were initiated. This was a previous meeting that we had from this environment. This was also a previous meeting and a previous demo that was done with this environment that this user was privy to, this guest user. So you can see the last meeting, there was a recording initiated. This person can unfortunately not view the recording because Stream only allows you to view recordings if you're a part of the organization, and because they are an external user, they will not be privy to that. So just want to show you quickly what it would look like. This is also a great example of cross collaboration. So I'm going to say, hi, Roxy, and remember, Roxy does not work at, Roxy is the external organization, and I'm chatting with them. So this external organization said, hi, Roxy, right? From their environment. Now, if I go back, you see the chat that was initiated. This guest user was able to chat me directly. You can see the email and where they're registered, you know, the associated ID. And now you see how we're cross collaborating back and forth. And I'll respond and say, thanks for joining. And now, see, if I go back to the live call, you can see we are chatting back and forth across 2 different companies. So that is a great example of that, and a great example of how to utilize chat during a meeting with an external entity or an external collaborator that you've invited. And now I'm going to stop presenting, and I'm going to pause to see if Ali or has anything to add, or if John has any questions, because I know that was a bit complex.
No, I think you did great. That was perfect. Thank you.
John, any questions?
Currently, so far, no, we're good.
Okay, awesome. So now we're gonna, Joanna, what a great smile. We're gonna exit this, and we are going to dive deeper into apps. So the great thing about MS Teams, for someone that's a bit more intermediate, that has gone through the basics a bit longer, the great thing is that you can add a bunch of different types of tabs, and you can customize your environment to suit the way that you like to work. So here you can see this is my Teams. This is my Teams application. Excuse me, I'm a part of COVID-19. And you can see I have all these individual tabs that I added to the top of the team to make sure that we're able to work in an easier way. So previously we had a meeting recorded, and the meeting recording was added as a tab. So now every time someone joins this channel, I can direct them to go to the tab titled Nuggets of Wisdom from our previous call, and they can just view that call, that recording, listen to it live here right within the team as a tab, which is a great example. Here you have the COVID task force OneNote. Now this notebook's empty right now because we haven't added anything, but that's a great example of how you can add tabs into your environment. Now I'm going to remove this one because we don't necessarily really need it. Now here you can see we have another tab that we added to make sure that all new employees who are joined into the organization, we want to point them to this training and this call where they can view that every time they join a team. Let's see, we're talking about the reopening office plan. We know that we have a tab for a planner, which we can customize and add in our different to-dos and view kind of where we stand on that. Now you see that I have a couple tasks that are in there that have been assigned to a couple of different people, and unfortunately, they are all late. So this is a great example of how you add in different Microsoft Office applications as tabs to be able to collaborate and stay within Teams and never have to leave. So I can walk us through how to create one, but I will pause to see if there's anything in particular that I should probably focus on. John, Ali?
Nope, nothing here. I think we're getting a decent number of questions and we're answering most of them in the chat.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so now we're gonna hide all of these just because to manage the organization of how I like to view Teams. We are going to add in another tab. I hope to have a Power BI example for you next week, but I don't have one today. So if you are interested in learning more or seeing more about data visualization and how you customize tabs with that too, feel free to hop on next week. Okay, so now we're going to add a tab and we're creating a new plan for planner, right? So we're going to title this new telehealth offering because I imagine that will be a very big focus as we start to move forward. So we're going to add the title. We're going to title different buckets based off of our focus. And it's really important that you do this because when you start to view it, like previously how I showed you, let me just go back to it and show you an example, right? You see we have different focuses for different tasks. We have office employees. So office employees were tasked to create an announcement for employees who are office-based. You have remote employees were tasked to notify remote employees. And then you have contractors who are tasked to update resources for contractors. Because it's important when you start going into the visualization portion of it, you want to make sure that you have those focuses because that's how you'll be able to view and track the progression of the different things that you're working on. So in this case, we're gonna have different buckets. We have communications, we have training, we're gonna have resources, and we'll just focus on those three for now. So to do is normally always going to be create. It's always going to initially be there. That's just always going to be there. So you don't have to worry about creating that on your own. It'll be there automatically. Communications, training, and resources are the ones that we created. So now we can go into adding tasks under them. So now I'm going to assign a task to Joanna because that's my favorite person to assign tasks to. And I'm going to let Joanna know that we need a quick turnaround time on this. So create agency, agency-wide communications plan for telehealth. All right, we press enter. Now the task is created, but you're not done yet. You want to make sure that you add more details around the task. So the bucket is communications that this is assigned to, but we can easily move it into any of the other three buckets. I'm going to add that it's in progress because I trust that Joanna got working on this right away. We're going to flag this as urgent. And then we're going to say that Joanna started working on this today. I'm not going to type in any notes for the sake of time. And we can add a checklist. So create comms plan, create a noun, and so forth and so forth. So you can keep going. You can add attachments. So let's say I want to add an attachment in this or a link. This case I don't, so I won't add it. And now we are done. So now you see there are a bunch of more details under that plan. The importance of that, oh, Joanna, you assigned me a plan. That's great. The importance of that is because now when you start to track things that are going on, you see that Roxy's been assigned a plan, and so has Joanna, who has been assigned a plan too. You have one task that's in progress, one that hasn't been started, and then you see by bucket what those tasks actually are. Then when you look at the schedule, you can see that Joanna's working on this for 2 days, and it's due on the 22nd. So that allows you to kind of view it from a calendar layout, right? Joanna labeled this and categorize this and put it with label 2, which you can change. Like you can change label 2 to training, right? Just so you can categorize it a bit easier for yourself. It's going to say communication. And so now I can go label this communication. So now that's kind of just an easier way that you can this kind of view things. So if I click on labels, I see under the purple label, I have one thing. So it just allows you to kind of customize your view in a multitude of different ways. So that is more about adding planner tabs in, which is a really, really popular one. Or you can add in an unscheduled task. So I'll pause and see if Ollie has anything to add.
No, you did great. I put in the communications task that you put for me. I put some comments in there too. So there is some back and forth that you can use to communicate with the person that's assigning you something. It doesn't necessarily have to be from an official basis that you know they're your supervisor, although you know those scenarios definitely come into play. But let's say if you're collaborating with somebody and you just wanted to get together and make sure that you organize who's going to do what and track when something's completed. It's not as robust as having Microsoft Project. You know, definitely you have the interdependencies and you know, subtasks and subtasks and subtasks and all of that kind of stuff. This is really project management light and really focused in on the items that you're working on within that specific channel, keeping sure that they're keeping in check with the timelines or whatever you agreed to. It's an easy way to do that.
That was a great add-in, Ollie. And see under that, the back and forth that Ollie was talking about, just right here at the bottom where comments are. So Ollie said that Joanna needed some help, and we said, let's get on a call for this. So that's just a great example of kind of like that back and forth and that collaboration. So I want to talk about a stream tab now, because stream focuses on videos that are within your agency. So let me explain what stream is really quickly. Think of stream as a YouTube or a personal YouTube for your organization, right? So that's how I want you to think of stream. Stream comes with an extensive amount of security features. So whereas YouTube is more publicly facing, stream is not publicly facing. This is only for your organization. So you unfortunately will not be able to share these stream, like the stream, anything that's recorded and streamed with external entities. So let's get the link for this. Let's share, right? We're gonna copy the link here. And the good thing about Stream, let me dive into this really quickly. After you record a meeting in Teams, one thing to note is that you can, it automatically is stored in Stream, because Stream is that kind of cloud technology that replaced the way that you record in Skype, which used to really take a long time for you to transcribe. Then there wasn't really an ability to add closed captioning and things like that. Stream really alleviated all of that. So with Stream, you know, you have closed captioning. It takes about possibly like maybe depending on the size of the file, but it takes a much lower time frame to be able to transcribe your meeting to make the recording available. And usually we'll do that within a matter of minutes, but don't quote me on that. Really just depends on how long the meeting is and how large it actually is. But then after you do have that meeting recorded, or after you do have that recording, you can go in and edit the details. So here, let's say hypothetically speaking, I did this for Bureau of Engraving and Printing. It was automatically titled BEP External Guest Training. Now I can change the way that that is titled, the way that that comes up. So let's say examples of Internal. So now I changed the title, right? I can add a description if I want to. I can choose whether I want everyone in my company to be able to see this. I'm going to say yes, because it's a great example of collaboration. And then now I can turn off comments for this particular video. So now I'm going to click apply to my changes. And now you can see the title is different for our BEP morning meeting that went on. Now I'm going to copy the link because I want everyone to be able to see this video, and I want to make sure that everyone does see this video. And I'm going to go over to general. Sorry, I just like the view. I'm going to click add, right? I'm going to click on stream, and stream's going to ask me for the link. Pops up right there. I don't want to make the tab name that lengthy, so let's just call it watch. Just for theatrics, I'll add an exclamation point. Now we're just going to press save. Yep, I want to post a channel about this tab. And as you can see, the tab has been added on this video. So I can fast forward, make sure that I go to other parts of it. Yep. So everyone can see it and watch it and see what's going on right from the team site as a tab. So that's kind of like the really fun feature about this. And you can see where it posted, because I asked that I want to add a tab. It posted about me adding a tab here within the team site. So I'll pause to see if Ali, you have anything to add on this one?
No, I think that was great. Thank you.
Hey, Roxy, I do. This is Bonnie.
Yeah.
There's one additional thing, right? So one of the things Roxy mentioned is like your streams automatically populate internally. Wanted to delve a little deeper. The only way that you could share really externally is, and people, depending on your agency policies, are really if you're uploading to an external facing website, you're using some kind of privately controlled YouTube channel, things like that. Those are the only ways you could share externally today. But of course, you'd need to align with whatever your agency policy is. But everything's embedded within Stream itself right now. And you can also share and revoke accesses and those sorts of things. So it's a good way to share. And as she showed on the mobile application, which is awesome, it's also something that is easily accessible, to her point, whether you're on the go, for your first line workers, all those types of scenarios that, and it's just embedded and you don't have to do anything extra in order to get those kinds of collateral. So people can really come up to speed later if they can't attend a training or a session, and they need to come up to speed at a later date. It quickly enables them in order to do that.
That's a great call, Bonnie. Thank you so very much.
I know sometimes when I host training sessions and I record it to our stream, what I do is my customers would invite me to their team's environment, and then I'd post to the team's environment too. So it's just another way to get to it. But I think one of the key things that Roxy and Bonnie are trying to highlight is, rather than having to manage the file, a lot of what Stream does is it manages itself for you. And if you want to make it portable, then that's when you download it and upload it to that place that you want it to. But generally within the organization, you just provide links, and then that way it saves bandwidth, saves time. Plus the Stream service has a lot of really good features on the accessibility side and the captioning side to help you manage the data better.
Mm-hmm.
And the great thing that I also want to call out too is that a common question that we get is, hey, if you have external partners and a channel where you are exposing like different recordings or different stream links, like here there's a tab for the daily stand-up and a team site that has external partners from outside organization, they will not be able to access this actual recording. So when they click on it, it will say forbidden access restricted, somewhere around that terminology. So they won't be able to see it. It's only going to be people within your internal organization that will be able to see it once you add it within a team site or a channel. They just won't be able to access it. So I just want to make sure that I highlight that.
Yeah, it's huge, because I know people often want to invite people to their meeting but not have them have access to everything after the meeting is over, right? So that's the key thing Roxy's highlighting there, is you definitely have that level of control.
Yes, absolutely. So I know we have 5 minutes left. John, do we have any questions that we want to cover live or anything that we can showcase with our 5 minutes?
So one question I saw came up was around the notifications within Planner, right? How does it notify people?
That's a really good one. And my apologies, I should have covered that. Planner is a really great tool. Let me just go to it. Planner is a really, really great tool. And let me just pull this up to, oh, not here with our waffle. Oh, yeah, let's go. Yeah. Let's head on over to Outlook when we are able to. Oh, sorry. A little too excited there. All right. All right. So yeah, we're in Outlook. Just make sure. Sorry, I don't have the way this bucket is structured. But the good thing about Planner is that when you are assigned a task within Planner and you also are late within Planner, Planner will notify you and send you emails within Exchange that you have been assigned a task and that you have some, or you're past due, depending on how you set things. So like, for example, if I go back to Planner here, let's go to the one that we created, our new telehealth offering. Now, if I was late on this training that was assigned to me by Johanna here, Planner will send me a message based off of what's been assigned. So let's say that it was due yesterday, right? So now it's late. Planner will notify me once it goes past the due date that, hey, you have a plan that's late. You have a task that's late. So it will send you an email in Exchange, just like most of the other different things. So here you see, when Joanna mentioned me in SharePoint, I mean, within the change of the documents that we were working on, it sent me an email in Exchange like, hey, you've been mentioned, like calling my attention, hey, you need to go check this out, right? So what it does is it'll send you an email in Exchange. Bonnie, anything to add there? By the way, I have to customize this view.
No, ma'am.
And the good thing is that it's like that with most of the applications. Like you see, where'd it go? It was just here. Yep, stream. Like as soon as my video was done as soon as it was done transcribing, it let me know that it was ready. It sent me an email like, your content's ready to stream. Same thing with Teams. You've been added to the COVID Task Force 19 team. So when you're added to different things, or your app mentioned, or there's activity going on, it will notify you in Outlook that something is going on with you. And that's why we talk about app mentions being a best practice and that being very important, because when you are app mentioning people, you're making sure that they get it on all fronts. So here it says that, you know, Abby mentioned me in a COVID work from home team and asked me to check out a third bullet. Here you see Joanna requested to be a part of my private Microsoft Teams site. So here it's sending me a notification like, hey, Joanna requested, go approve or deny. So it will let you know what's going on and the different things that are happening within the team site. Like a request has been made, who wants to be in COVID work from home, they've added you. Yeah, so that you'll know that things are going on. Like Adam tried to reach me, I wasn't on for a couple of days. So it'll let you know in Outlook. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, if we have no other questions,
This one more.
Okay,
The
good.
difference between setting up a live event via Teams versus Stream.
That's a really, really great question. It really just depends on, okay, so there are a bit of nuances when you get into that. So when you think about a live event in Teams and you think about a live event in Stream, it really just depends on how you're trying to host the live event and what you're trying to achieve with the live event, to be quite honest with you. when you're doing a live event in Teams, there are different functionalities and features that are enabled versus stream. Like, so for example, a live event in Teams, which is what we're doing now. Live events in Teams supports the Q&A feature. So if you do want to be able to kind of ask questions the way that you are on the live event that we're on today, you're going to want to go with Teams versus if you do want to host Q&A, but let's say you want to do a live event in Stream does not support the Q&A feature, so you wouldn't be able to have that. And because most government agencies do not use Yammer, which is where the Q&A feature is supported for Stream, you just wouldn't have that option available. Now, if you're trying to do let's say you're looking to do a live event for the public, Teams accommodates that ability where you can kind of embed that to a website and different things like that. So it really just depends on the different things that you're trying to achieve with the live events. The different platforms are both great for different reasons. So if you work with your customer success manager or your point of contact at your organization and just let them know what the different use cases are as to how you're trying to use the product and what you're trying to leverage it for, they'll be able to work with somebody on the Microsoft side that will be able to point you to the different differences of why one may be better than the other. But it really just depends on how you're trying to use it. Like, for example, let's say we saw a couple of organization host live events for specific people. So they may want to have those specific people that don't work for their organization authenticate into a specific experience. It really just depends. Where you can't do that with Teams, there's a way that you're able to do something like that with Stream. So it really just depends on how you're trying to use it.
And it's a good segue too, because there's a 3-part series that we've been hosting this week, and this is part 2, and tomorrow's part 3 is on live events. So I'd encourage you to use the same link that you used today to get there here, the AKA link, and sign on. It starts at 10 in the morning.
Yes, please do. And for those who are curious, I know we haven't talked about this much on these trainings, but that visualization with Power BI, I think that's a real gem there. We'll showcase that next week. And
Hey, Roxanne,
go ahead, Ollie.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said go ahead.
There's a question on planner notifications. Can you just go back and show some planner notifications? Someone was asking if you can set them up if the task is overdue. How do you set up a notification? That kind of stuff, sir.
So if tasks are late in Planner, to my understanding, that's an automatic thing that it will send the person a notification if it's late. It's automatic. There's no and that's let me just showcase it. That's kind of going into making sure that it's filled out completely. Like here you can see it's actively being monitored. Like, let's say I started this, I'm just gonna go say I started this on the 18th. It's actively monitoring based off of what you're inputting into as the data. So like here we put in that Johanna has a task and Johanna started the task on the 20th and the task is due on the 22nd. If it gets to the 22nd and Johanna doesn't go in and mark this completed, it will track it as late, meaning that it will then, 2-part, show up in your chart for anybody visualizing this chart that there's one late, who it's late from. So you can see it's late from myself, and it'll also have like this red mark here. And it will also notify Roxy, hey, your task is late, like calling attention to it.
And my understanding is it doesn't notify say the owner of the team.
No.
But the way that I managed through that is when I held the stand-ups, we go through everything, and if it's late, I mean, the good thing about Planner is it'll also let everyone know, where we are with things and as they've been rolled off, etc. So everyone can see a good line of sight. So we just talk to it. If a date needs to move, that sort of thing, then we just address it, right? But you'll be able to address it in your stand-ups.
Thanks for calling that out. Any last questions before we go ahead and wrap things up?
Yeah, there's another question here. If I have tasks on multiple plans for multiple teams, is there a way I can see all of my tasks? On the demonstration screen, I do not see a medal or an important icon. Are they turned off, on by the user, by the team, or at the tenant level? So,
So
go ahead.
if I understand the question, it's two-part. One, how do I view all of my individual tasks? And then two, how do you flag them based off of priority?
Well, yeah, exactly. I think that's what they're asking there. Important to ask for something that's important. So if there's a categorization that we can do among tasks.
Yep, absolutely. So if you see, I'm going to go into this task that's late on update for contractors. There's a priority bucket where you can go between low priority, medium priority, important, and urgent. And so in this case, this task was marked as low priority. So that's just the awareness for the team that it's a low priority task. So that's kind of how you would manage that. The second part is, let me go away from this, show you how I got there. If you click on the ellipses that will be on your screen and you click on planner, this will then show you all of your tasks. So here you can see I have 4 tasks that I haven't started yet that are past due. Oh my gosh, tasks from March, that's horrible. And I have 3 tasks that are past due that are also in progress. And I have 1 task that has been marked as completed. Now, if I go to, well, no, the activity wouldn't be available, but if I click on recent, I can kind of see where these tasks are, like based off of like what plan I'm working from. So if I'm working from the new telehealth offering plan, or if I'm working from the reopening plan, and kind of based off of week, month, and earlier kind of thing, what does that look like? So there's a way that I can manage the view and see it based off of my own individual tasks that are associated with me. That's a great question.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Alrighty now. Well, thank you to John, Ali, Bonnie, and everybody who joined today's intermediate session on Teams. We hope that you found it valuable. You'll be able to access this recording through the link that John or Ali posted in the Q&A portion. You'll be able to access the recording there once it's up and posted. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the person that forwarded you the invite, and they'll know how to get a hold of someone or be able to answer your question more directly. So thank you for joining, and make sure you join tomorrow and next week again.
Actually, I think if they hit the same link for the meeting later today, I think it should show the record. It should be the link to the recording.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Ali. Well, thanks, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful and fantastic Wednesday.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the training.